Welcome to topic 5. The first thing I want you to do is write down the following vocabulary words: digits, quotient, divisor, fact, dividend, remainder, and partial quotients. We'll be using all of this topic, and I want to make sure that you have the correct definitions. So digits are the numbers you're using in the problem. Quotient is your answer to your division problem. Your divisor is the digit you're using to divide by. Your fact is your basic division fact. It could also be your basic multiplication fact, subtraction fact, or addition fact, but we're dealing with division in topic 5, so it's going to be your basic division fact. Your dividend is the number being divided. Your remainder is the leftover portion. Kind of like when you have dinner, if you don't eat it all and you want to save it because you loved it so much, but you're so full you can't eat anymore, you put your remainders in the refrigerator. Well, we don't call them remainders, we call them leftovers. So I want you to remember that story because this is very important. The letter that we represent remainders with dividing, we use an R. Okay, so that's very important. We also will use a fraction. Okay, and I will be teaching you this. Whoops, sorry, you can't see the whole thing. We will also be using a fraction. My empty boxes are for the numbers that we would be putting in there, and I'll explain that to you later. As we work out the problems, you'll see how we put that together. Okay, your partial quotients, these are just like partial products, right? When we did the multiplication problems, but the partial quotients will be the pieces of your division problem. Okay, so these are the pieces to be added together to find the total quotient. It's exactly, and I mean exactly like partial products, or PPs, right? But we call them PQ, okay? To find the TQ. And I don't have a clever saying for this one, like when you go PP, always use your TP. So you're just gonna have to remember that when you have your partial quotients, you're gonna have to add them all together to get your total quotients, okay? All right. On to our basic tape diagram examples. So I want you to do that first. If you need to pause here to finish taking down your notes for these definitions, you may, but I'm going to keep going. So we are going to do some example problems, okay, in division. We're going to find 1,800 divided by 6, and we're going to figure out what that equals, okay? It could be anything. Maybe you have $1,800 and you want to divide it by 6 people. Maybe you have 1,800 pizzas and you want to divide it by 6 people. Maybe you have 1,800, what else can I think of? 1,800 apples, and you want to divide it with 6 classes, okay? It doesn't matter what the story is. We're looking for the TQ, okay? So this is your total quotient here. This part is the number we're dividing. So you remember we called that a dividend. This is the number we're dividing by, so that's called a divisor. And I know I abbreviated it with TQ, but this is called the quotient. Okay, so please label that. Whoops, sorry about that. You couldn't see the whole thing. All right, moved it over. So we're going to do a tape diagram to figure this out. And it's just like the tape diagram that we do when we multiply. Okay, so the first thing we write is our total. Okay, our total that we have in a division problem is our dividend. So our dividend goes up here. So we have 1,800. And please label that dividend with parentheses so you remember. You're going to have to do this on your own. So I want you to have notes that are really, really, really good. Okay, now we have to break this 1,800 up into 6 pieces, 6 equal pieces. So just like when we do our multiplication problems with our tape diagram, we're going to try to get these to be equal. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I didn't do a very good job, but that's okay. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at least it's 6. It's a little wacky because I know it's not equal. But we have to divide this up by 6. So that's what I've done. But we don't know how much is going to go in each one of these yet. Okay? So all I want you to do is write divided by 6 equal, whoops, parts. And because I'm using parts, we're going to label these P. These are all the parts or the pieces that we're dividing by. We don't know what that is yet, though. Okay? So, because we have our zeros, we're dividing by a base 10 number. We can use our basic fact. Remember, just like we did in multiplication, it works the exact same way. So I'm going to do 1,800. I'm rewriting my problem without the comma so I don't get confused. Okay? And you know what? I'm going to leave another line so that I don't run out of room. This is your divided by symbol, and then we're going to divide by 6. So it's 1,800 divided by 6. All we're going to do is use our basic fact. What, and I know we've been practicing, so this should not be totally new. What times 6 will equal 1? We know nothing. Okay, so we're just going to put a place value holder there. Then we can hop over here, and it's what times 6 will equal 18? Well, our basic fact, we know 6 times 3 equals 18. 3 times 6 equals 18. Whoops. So we're going to write 18 down here. Subtract to get 0. Now we could go through what times 6 equals 0. Well, we know 0. What times 6 will equal 0? We know 0. We could go through the whole subtracting 0 minus 0 minus 0 minus 0 minus 0 minus 0 equals 0. But we don't want to go through that because we don't have another number here, another digit that has a value. We only have zeros. We know that we're dividing by a base 10 number. So you have 1 0 here, 1 0 here. You need to have 1 0 here and 1 0 here to represent the hundreds place value. Remember, 10 times 10 is 100. So you need to represent that 100. I know we're dividing, but the inverse operation of division is multiplication. So when we're dividing by base 10, we can say it works the same way. So we get our quotient here. This is our TQ, right? Our total quotient with our division problem. So if we take 300 and we plug them into each one of these little pieces and added them all together, we would end up with 1,800. And that is the inverse operation. And let me prove it to you. So if you write 300 in here, 300, 300, 300, 300, and 300, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. That's 1800s because 300 times 6 equals 1800s. Therefore, 1800 divided by 6 equals 300. That's your inverse operation, and that's how you do it with your division procedure. All right, on to your next video.